Is text to 3D the future of filmmaking, and are AI influencers the future of celebrities? Let's find out in this week's AI Film News. I want to start things off by saying thank you to everyone who said hello to us at the AI LA event last week. Shelby presented her work as an AI artist, and we got to meet many members of the curious Refuge community. We can't thank you enough. Our first bit of news comes from a brand new text-to-video tool called Morph Studio. So Morph Studio works directly inside of Discord, similar to other tools like Pika Labs or Moon Valley. Let's take a look at how to use it. You can join their Discord by clicking the link below this video. So all you have to do when you're inside of Morph Studio is go to one of their video generation channels, type in / and type video. Now you simply type in your prompts like you would anywhere else. In our instance, I'm going to say a woman in a sci-fi film riding a motorcycle shot on film, and we want to reinforce that it should be cinematic and realistic. Okay, so let's take a look at our result. So we have this scene and the woman is riding the motorcycle, but there's not a lot of detail and the background looks very, very simple. So we're not getting the high quality results that we see from other tools. But let's go ahead and compare and contrast this text-to-video platform with the other 4 big ones. So I prompted the exact same thing into each one of these platforms. Essentially, we have a woman in a sci-fi world looking around. Very easy prompt. And this is what we have from Morph Studio. It looks okay. It's not very realistic. It's very, very stylized, but it is interesting. You also have this scene from Moon Valley. So Moon Valley, you can see there's a lot more consistency in the movement on the character, but the background really changes a lot, so it's not a very stable image. With Runway, we have this scene of a woman looking around, and it is really interesting. You see the background bokeh actually interacts with the reflections on the pavement in a very realistic way. Obviously, there's some movement that's a little strange here, but it does look very filmic and interesting. And lastly, we have Pika Labs. So we have a woman looking to the left and then she looks up. That's a very complex movement for artificial intelligence, and it did a pretty good job at making it look realistic. Obviously the background I'm not in love with. It kind of seems like it's in a painting, but generally I would say Pika Labs won this competition with Runway in a close second. But I should also note that Runway natively, unless you're using their interpolation features, does not give you 24 frames per second, so you would probably need to run that through a tool like Topaz Video to extrapolate the most quality. Just like Moon Valley, you can check out some of the best projects inside of Morph Studio. Test it out on your end. Let me know if you're able to create anything interesting with this tool. I'm sure it will get better over the next few weeks and months, but it's really cool to see that there are more of these tools popping up on the market. Next, I want to highlight a bit of news coming from China. Essentially, these researchers were able to use multiple cameras to create a real-time version of what is essentially Gaussian splatting. So it scans the actors in the environment and allows you to move around in real time at 80 frames per second to actually compose the scene based on the input footage that is inside of the platform. So it seems really interesting, and there might be some sort of potential here for an entire stage to be built in which you have a lot of cameras scanning your actors and the scene, and they are essentially able to manipulate the cinematography inside of post. So it's very rudimentary at this point, but I think it does showcase what the future might hold for this type of production. There's also this new tool from NVIDIA that allows you to create 3D models from a text prompt. Obviously, that has huge implications for the future of storytelling, as modeling and putting together objects is a very labor-intensive job. The tool is called Masterpiece X, and let's take a look at how it works. So this is the home screen. All you have to do is go to Generate 3D Now and sign in. Once you're signed in, you can select if it's an object, an animal, or a human. We can select how many models we want. There is a credit system, so you can't generate an infinity number of items at this point. Of course, you can always pay for more credits, but we're not going to do that for this video. In this instance, I'm going to click on the human beta, and we'll do 2 models, and we will go to our next step, which is to add the character descriptions. So we will say we want to see a pirate wearing a purple coat. And it gives you further options to customize your model. We won't get into that. We'll just keep it in the balanced mode here. And for our scene, I put in that we want it to be hyper realistic, 4K, hyper detailed, essentially adding in more visual information. And it's pretty cool because you actually can go in here and have some negative prompts. So perhaps what we actually don't want to see, we don't want it to be blurry, and we don't want it to have a peg leg. So you also can generate base animation for your character if you're using the human input, or you can generate the bones alone, so you can go in and animate using a third-party tool or motion tracking technology like Move AI. And for our instance, I'm going to click bones and animation, and now we can describe what our pirate should be doing. And in our instance, we'll say the pirate should be walking the plank specifically. And let's generate our 3D model. So let's take a look at our results. So the first is this pirate who is walking around. It's pretty cool. See that he's dressed in purple pirate uniform and walking around. Obviously, there's a lot more to be desired for in terms of details and resolution, but as a V1 concept, this is very interesting. And again, we also have this pirate here, have him walking around, and you can navigate around the character just like this. And of course, download it as a 3D file for you to use inside of your projects. Now, earlier I tried to generate a red car with rocket engines, and it generated essentially this rocket that's just kind of a normal rocket. And it also generated this rocket, which doesn't exactly look like a rocket or a car. I think I'm gonna have to adjust my negative prompts next time. Ali Jones also put together a great comparison of the 3 big image platforms out there. We have Midjourney, DALL-E, and Adobe Firefly, and you can scrub through and see some of the comparisons here. Obviously, Midjourney looks better in most instances, and Adobe Firefly always kind of has that editorial look to it, but it is really interesting to compare and contrast the differences. For example, in this specific image, we see that the prompt was actually to have half of the face in one style and the half in another style. Because DALL-E and Firefly are a bit more true to the prompts you type in, they did a better job than Midjourney, which essentially kind of invented its own style. So I think it really illustrates the perks and the strengths of certain tools over other tools. I also want to thank John Asaka for winning last week's AI Film News competition. You have some swag from Curious Refuge coming your way, John. And for this week's competition, we want you to identify which one of the following images was created using DALL-E 3, Adobe Firefly, and Midjourney. So this is number 1, this is number 2, and this is number 3. If you think you know what 1, 2, and 3 is, be sure to let us know in the comments. The first one to answer correctly will win some swag from Curious Refuge. Midjourney also had a couple of really interesting announcements last week. The first of which is their AI Upscaler is already better than what it was last week. So I wanted to test this out, and we went in and upscaled a few images using the brand new tool from Midjourney. Again, if you want to upres an image directly inside of Midjourney, all you have to do is go to ×2 upscale or ×4 upscale after you have initially upscaled your image, and then it will pop up directly inside of Midjourney, but you should always click on it and open in the browser to get maximum quality. So let's compare and contrast the old method, the new method, and then Gigapixel to determine which image upreser is the best tool for you to use. This is the old image directly from Midjourney's upreser that was available last week. Again, we are zoomed into a very specific part of the video frame that is probably much closer than you would ever get, but it is good to know that this is the base resolution that we used to have. Now we have this resolution, which you can see we have a little more sharpness in the details, but it's not overly sharpening everything. It's only sharpening the parts that need to be sharpened. And finally, this is what the result looks like from Gigapixel at the same resolution. So you can see that this is actually not as good as the new Upscaler inside of Midjourney. So now my professional recommendation is if you want to upres your images do it directly inside of Midjourney, you can skip gigapixel for now unless your image was not created using Midjourney. Midjourney also launched a beta version of their new website. You can find a link below this video. The old website is still available for now, but this one is showcasing some really interesting features. The first of which is just how quickly you can navigate through the platform. You can scrub through a ton of images very, very quickly. You also have the ability, let's say we liked this image, you can search for images that are similar to that individual image, which I think is really fantastic. You also have the ability to go into your images and you can rate them using the 1, 2, and 3 key, which is very helpful. There's been features like this in tools like Adobe Lightroom, but essentially we can just go through here and let's say this is a 4, this one's a 3, this one's a 2. You can very, very quickly begin to rate your images. And the cool thing is they actually have the ability to filter. So it's cool because you can go in here and only see images that have reached certain quality thresholds. You also have the ability to go in and search your prompts. So we can say sci-fi and only see our images that have been created inside of a sci-fi world. It's very, very helpful for scrubbing through all of the images that are inside of your database. Now, I should say this is still in beta, and while the features do seem very helpful, I still recommend using the old Midjourney site for now because it has more features that are helpful for you as a creator, including the bulk download feature that I use all of the time. But the thing that I'm really interested about inside of this new beta is this "Imagine coming soon" text at the very top. Soon, we won't have to use Discord to generate our Midjourney images, and that is going to be very, very exciting. Although for collaborative team projects, I actually do like using Discord because you can put together a team or a server and generate from there. So hopefully Midjourney will still allow us to generate directly inside of Discord. It would just be great to have both options available to creators. Over on X, we also saw this really interesting post from Hirokazu, who essentially was using a 3D generated environment on top of a TensorRT enabled with stable diffusion to essentially convert the rough 3D models into a cinematic end result. I've been talking to a lot of people about this idea of having AI filters that essentially enhance the quality of the inputs. This technology is going to have dramatic impact, not only in the gaming industry, but also in the way in which we tell stories. Just imagine uploading iPhone footage and then using an AI filter to convert it into highly cinematic styles. It's really interesting, and I think we're going to see this technology develop even further. Runway also finished up their 48-hour film competition, and we saw some incredible results from the competition. We wanted to shout out just a few of the really interesting films that we came across. The first one is this Hold the Line film. We really feel like it had some great editing, and it's a really interesting high concept about a man reminiscing over the loss of his girlfriend. And there's a really interesting shot that is kind of a longer shot of the car driving, and it really showcases the stability of Runway's video tools. So it was a really cool project. There's also this film called Let Us Explore that is essentially an alien colony taking over a fictitious grocery store. I think this one's really interesting, not only in the way in which it art directed the overall style and the lighting, but they also went in and did some post-processing to make it feel a little more filmic and connected. So I really, really enjoyed this project. There's also this film called It's Happening that has a character that's basically going through the plot of Arrival, but instead of aliens, it's artificial intelligence. They did a great job at having consistent characters and developing this kind of epic sci-fi world. Can't believe that this was created in 48 hours. Fantastic work on this project, Justin. And lastly, we have this project called 2026, which essentially is someone giving a dystopian home tour with a bike helmet on. It seems like they may have used Runway Gen 1 to actually produce the video for this specific project. I think it's just a fun example of some of the different AI tools that you can use to create some interesting things. Now, while we're talking about Runway, I should note that they actually have a brand new program specifically for documentary filmmakers. It seems like they are trying to provide assistance to people that may want to integrate artificial intelligence with documentary work. If you're a documentary filmmaker, I recommend applying for that, which you can find a link below this video. Over in Japan, there's an advertisement that came out with a character that is completely AI generated, and essentially they use custom models to age the character and essentially have them promote this product. The quality looks really, really good. They said that they did a little bit of cleanup on the actor's face, but it's really, really interesting to think about using AI influencers to actually sell products. And this is not the first instance of using AI characters to actually sell something. The folks over at BMW put together an advertisement for an AI influencer to promote their brand new car. That influencer has over 2 million followers online. So it's safe to say that there may be a future where celebrities may be intermixed with AI celebrities that are starring inside of films and commercials. Now, this commercial is still pretty rudimentary. The AI influencer doesn't have the same fidelity as a human face, but it's interesting to see the very beginnings of what will likely be a huge revolution in the AI storytelling world. We'd also like to say thank you to everyone who entered our AI horror film competition. We will announce the winners of that competition on November 30th. We had over 200 submissions, so we have a lot of awesome projects to scrub through, and we can't wait to announce the winners. I should also note that if you are in Los Angeles on November 2nd, you can come meet us at the Sony lot. There's an AI cinema screening event, and we will be showcasing a project that Amina put together for Curious Refuge. I think it's going to be a fantastic event, and I'm excited to meet some of my AI heroes because it looks like they're gonna have Paul Trillo and Jeff Synthesized there who create incredible projects. I should also note that registration for the November session of our AI filmmaking course is now here. It looks like this is shaping up to be our biggest session ever, and we would love to have you inside of the program. We've also upgraded everyone to have access to the program for 1 year. This means you'll have access to video lessons, live events, the Discord chat, and Q&A videos that we will be putting together in the coming weeks and months. We would love to partner up with you in your creative journey for the long haul. Descript also came out with a brand new audio tool that I want to show you. So if you haven't used Descript up to this point in time, it's a fantastic tool for essentially transcribing videos or podcasts and allowing you to edit the video with text. It's very, very easy to use this tool. All you have to do whenever you are inside the program is import your video or your audio and go over here to sound effects and simply turn on studio sound. Now, just like the Adobe Podcast Enhance tool, you can adjust the percentage. For this specific example, I want to keep the percentage at 100%, and then you can just export it from the program. Now, you may be asking, how does this compare to the Adobe Audio Enhance tool? Well, I actually did a quick comparison, so let's check it out. So this is our raw footage. We'd also like to wish everyone who is competing in the Runway 48-hour film festival the best of luck. We can't wait to see all of the incredible submissions that you guys create. And if you're wondering, the answer is yes, my studio does sound that bad directly in camera. So let's listen to the audio from Descript using their new Enhance tool. We'd also like to wish everyone who is competing in the Runway 48-hour film festival the best of luck. We can't wait to see all of the incredible submissions that you guys create. So it sounds slightly robotic. Of course, the audio is enhanced, but there is kind of that weird robotic echoiness to that specific clip. Now let's play the same clip that used the Adobe Audio Enhance tool. We'd also like to wish everyone who is competing in the Runway 48-hour film festival the best of luck. We can't wait to see all of the incredible submissions that you guys create. So I think that the audio from Adobe Enhance is the best. So if you're simply going for the best audio quality, I think you should use the Adobe Enhance tool. I always like turning down the enhancement to about 70 to 80%. When you push it to that 100% mark, it does get a little bit robotic. So you definitely have to find the exact spot that makes the most sense for your specific audio clip. And now let's get to our AI films of the week. So the first one comes from our AI horror film competition. I should note that just because we are featuring a video inside of this segment does not mean that they are going to win the competition. We just thought it was an interesting submission. So the first one comes from Beto, who uploaded this very funny, self-aware short film. It actually showcases some complex movements and advanced movements that utilize third-party tools like what I'm guessing is Adobe After Effects. There's a few jump cuts that are very interesting, and it kind of seems like it might be a little inspired by maybe The Ring or a horror film like that. And there's a great twist at the end. It's a very, very compelling story. Our second film comes from Stephanie Ronan, who developed this really interesting world that uses kind of voices in this mysterious city, and maybe they're covering up a secret. And it kind of takes the supernatural turn there towards the end. Really interesting curation with the shot, Stephanie. I think you did a fantastic job. And this project comes from Quincy Lafayette, who essentially created a commercial for a service called Quantum Therapy. The commercial seems very dystopian, but it has fun visuals, and I would never want to go to this therapist, but fantastic work on this project, Quincy. And finally, our AI student project of the week comes from Adam, who put together this film called Echoes of Chernobyl. Essentially, this is just kind of creating the overall scene for a project inside of week 3 of our program. Adam did a fantastic job at using third-party tools and assets to create an atmosphere for this film, and I think that the result is very, very interesting. So fantastic job, Adam. And finally, I want to point out a few ways in which artificial intelligence is being used to solve crimes. There's a really interesting article and video over at the AI Time Journal. Essentially, it's being used to scrub through video, photo, and DNA to solve crimes that essentially have gone cold, and now they have the ability to finally start solving them. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's AI Film News. If you're joining us for the November session, we would love to say hello inside of the Curious Refuge chat community. Of course, if you ever want more AI film news delivered directly to your inbox, you can subscribe to our newsletter, or you can subscribe to us here at Curious Refuge on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck with all of the incredible AI projects you may be working on.